You are listening to the Marriage Clinic Podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now your host, Joshua Mulgrew.
We are back with the Marriage Clinic Podcast. It's always a pleasure to be with you. My name is Dr. Joshua Mulgrew, but I love to be called Uncle Josh. This is a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. I sincerely hope that this podcast has been making a difference in your life, and please share it with people. Tell more people about this podcast as we grow the audience. We are growing. We are getting into different countries. More people are hearing about it. People are following on TikTok, on YouTube, and please keep pushing it. You are our warriors out there, and you help this get better. All right. As is our custom, I'm a person of faith, and we love to start with a Bible verse. So in Hebrews 13 verse 4, it says, "Let marriage be held in honor among all." Let marriage be held in honor amongst all. So let's honor marriage. We've been doing a series on cheating, what an affair is, how affairs happen, and what causes affairs. We have 2 more episodes on this, and today I'm bringing you the last but one episode on it. And we want to talk about how to deal with the 2 types of responses when someone is caught in an affair. Let me simplify it for you. How to deal with an affair when it happens in your marriage. There are 2 responses you will get whenever an affair happens. Let's say, for the sake of conversation, I've been talking as if it is the man who is cheating. I'm not saying women don't cheat, but it's a little bit difficult to say when he or she, so I keep saying he. But don't worry, sometimes, and a lot of times, it is a she. All right? Now, when an affair is discovered, there are 2 responses people normally have. The first response is either I'm sorry, I want to end this, I won't do this again. Or the other response is, yeah, you've caught me, but it's not that easy. I don't think I can leave this lady. And how do you respond to the 2 situations? All right? Now, I'm saying all this because if you are caught in a marriage where an affair has occurred, the hope is that you can forgive and move on and rebuild. All right? Now, the path to forgiveness depends a lot on a number of factors. The person's response, your personal decision on if you want to work on the marriage or you want to exit the marriage. Because let's understand something. The Bible tells us that when your spouse cheats on you, when your spouse has a sexual affair with someone else, you have the right to walk out on the marriage. That's the one caveat. Well, they give another caveat, but that's the main caveat that is given where you have grounds for divorce. So if your spouse cheats on you and you go and you say, look, I'm out of this marriage, no one can fault you. Because the Bible says that if adultery happens, you can. It didn't say you should, it said you can. So when you find out that your spouse has cheated on you, you need to ask yourself this question: do I want to forgive and move on? Or do I feel like I want to forgive and divorce? You can forgive someone and divorce the person. You can say, look, I don't hold it against you. I forgive you. What you did was wrong. I'm not going to hate you for this, but this is a bridge too far for me. Now, I've observed something. I've observed that it's easier for women to forgive their husbands for affairs than for men to forgive their husbands for cheating. I don't know why. I don't have all the statistics on it. But just based on couples I have dealt with, so it's not a scientific study, but based on the couples I have dealt with, women often are able to forgive. Men pretend a lot of the time that they will be able to forgive, but they can't deal with it. Maybe because men are more territorial. I don't know. Maybe we'll discuss that another day. So you need to make a decision. Now, if you've made the decision you want to work at the marriage and see if it can be salvaged, we are now going to look at the two kinds of responses. Let me deal with the worst kind of response. You confront him about the affair. He says he's sorry, but he doesn't want to stop the affair. Lady came to me a couple of months ago. My husband has given me an alternative. He says he cannot leave his side chick. So either I agree that there's going to be a side chick, or I can leave and she takes my place. Uncle Josh, what should I do? I said, I don't know. How am I supposed to know what you're supposed to do? I mean, the only person who knows what you should do is you. But then I was able to give her some advice. So here I'm going to talk to you about when the person decides that I can't break up that other relationship. What do you do? The first thing is you need to decide if you're continuing the marriage or you're walking away. And you are not wrong for saying you are ending the marriage. And you are not wrong for saying you will continue. And you are not wrong for saying you will continue, but at a point you realize that you can't continue. That is why when things like this happen, don't allow people to force you to say what you are going to do. I don't know is an answer. Husband says, so based on this, are we going to work on the marriage or you are going to leave me? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, I don't know. I need time to figure this out. So when the person says they can't end the relationship, I would say the first thing that you should do, the first thing that you should do is that you should begin to pray. Are you with me? You should begin to pray. I'm a person of faith. I believe we start with prayer. Maybe you look at the situation and by your diagnosis, there's more to it than meets the eye. And maybe there's more going on. And sometimes you need to stand in prayer. I know people have been criticized so much about, you're always telling the woman to pray. Even if it's a man, sometimes you need to pray. And what do you pray? Pray that your spouse's heart will be convicted of the wrong they are doing, because what they are doing is wrong. Pray that the emotional ties between your spouse and the other person will be broken. Go read Genesis chapter 20 and pray to ward off the person. That's a dangerous chapter. Pray for grace to endure the storm, because believe you me, this is going to be an emotional roller coaster you are going to be going through. So when we say pray, I'm not talking pray anyhow. Pray about these 4 specific areas. Then the second thing is, now we are looking at a situation where you've decided you are not leaving. You want to work at the marriage. Number 2, stop letting your conversations always circle back to the affair. One of the things that destroys marriages after women say they will forgive is that when they are sweeping the living room and the man is passing, they will say, when you go to a place, does she sweep the place like this? You see, the cheating has taken place, but if every conversation you are having with your spouse will circle back, you can't work at the marriage. So stop letting every conversation, you ask for money. He says, I really don't have money at this time. You don't have money, but you can be giving money to your girlfriend. My sister, what are you doing? Then go. All right. Number 3, as difficult as it may seem, make the home a haven and not a battlefield. Because here's the irony. If he comes home and you quarrel with him, he goes back to her place. She's winning. So you're fighting him that he should leave her doesn't make you win. Pastor Josh, but it's painful. Well, you said you want to fight for the marriage. No one said it's going to be easy. So as difficult as it may seem, make the home a haven, not a battlefield. Don't scare your spouse out of the home with persistent quarrels. He gets home, there's a quarrel, then he picks his keys. Hey, I know where you're going. Go and I'll even be free. Then when he leaves, you start crying. You call your friend, he's going to her again. So why did you push him to go there again? I'm not condoning what the man is doing, but it doesn't mean the house should always be a battlefield. All right? So do your best to make peace prevail in the home. Brings me to the 4th one. Live your life Don't put your life on hold because of your unfaithful spouse. I know some people that bring their entire lives to a standstill, and their every breathing moment is about how they are going to solve that problem in the marriage. Look, if your spouse will cheat, they'll cheat. If they will make calls, they will make calls. They will delete it. If you begin to look for messages on WhatsApp, they will move to, what's that other one called? Telegram. If you go to Telegram, they will move to Snapchat. If you go to Snapchat, they'll move to Instagram. If you go to Instagram, they will move to Fitbit. Even the exercise apps. Even the Bible app has a chat version on it, a chat place on it. So please, you need to be able to live your life at some point. Don't put your life on hold. Alright? Pray for change, but pour yourself into helpful activities. Go back to school. Improve yourself. Do stuff. Start that business. Do something. Let your life's ambitions do not rise and fall on your husband or the certificate of marriage. Or your wife for that matter. Because I once dealt with a situation where the woman dealt with the guy. I know we keep saying guys are doing it, but when ladies they are catching up. Meeting men boot for boot. Brings me to the last one. Be careful who you share the information with. Sometimes out of the head, you tell everybody that your spouse has cheated. And when they change, when they reform, when things get better, the genie is out of the bottle. You can't go to every single person and tell them that, I said he was bad, now he's good. You've already told everybody who will listen in the office that your husband is a dog. Now your husband has changed. But now you can't share his pictures on your status. Because they'll say, isn't that the dog? So remember, be careful who you share the information with. So we've been looking at if you decide that you want to work at the marriage, but your spouse is still in love with the other person. What do? Begin to pray. I gave you 4 specific things to pray about. And if you can't remember them, rewind, skip back. Stop letting every conversation circle back to the affair. As difficult as it may seem, make the home a happy place, not a battlefield. Live your life and be careful who you share the information with. This has been the Marriage Clinic podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. My name is Dr. Joshua Mogri. We are going to ask Uncle Josh. We have a lot of amazing questions this week, and I'm sure you'll be intrigued to hear what I have to say. So we go to Ask Uncle Josh, and next week we'll be here with the final part to talk about how to deal with it when your spouse has decided they want to work at it and we need to recover from this. All right. What's our next question?
Okay. So our next question is, for how long should people date before they marry each other?
So, for how long should people date before they marry each other? Wow. There isn't a hard and fast rule to it. And if I, for instance, turned around and said date for 6 months, I'll create a problem. If I said date for 4 years, I'll create a problem. I've seen people who dated for 2 to 3 months and they are married. And I've seen people who dated for 10 years and are now married. I have a friend called Elijah. He dated his wife for 10 years. However, we see some common threads. 1, and when I'm talking about dating, I'm not saying you've known each other for a long time, but you make the relationship official. If you have found each other, get to know each other, and the relationship is very short, under a year, chances are that the first few years of your marriage are going to be very difficult because you don't know enough about each other. So let's understand that. Chances are that you don't know enough about each other. So the advice is that you should have dated for more than a year. Some say you should have seen more than one Harmattan. Harmattan is the end of the year. Once we have seen 2 Harmattans together, most likely we have been dating for more than a year. Because I can pretend for 2 months. I can pretend for 3 months. It's very difficult to pretend for more than 6 months. And by a year, the person's true nature, who they are, will come out. We do not advise you to get married until you've had a big fight. And all that you will not get in a short courtship, right? On the other hand, if you date for too long, a relationship that could have worked becomes boring and you may break up. So I say, now this is the gospel according to Uncle Josh, not according to the Bible, not according to any book. It's the gospel according to Uncle Josh. I believe that a minimum of 9 months, and that's risking it, and a maximum of 2 years should be good. Anything beneath or above that comes with inherent problems, but could still work. But the sweet spot is 9 months to 24 months. That's the sweet spot I'll ask them to go for.
So the next question is, I have dated a guy for 7 years. No marriage, no kids, and we broke up. Uncle George, I'm still in pain for the 7 years I wasted because I really didn't know. What should I do?
So she's saying that she's dated a guy for 7 years. No children. What did she say?
No marriage.
No marriage.
No children.
No children.
And they still broke up.
And they still broke up. Would it have been better if you had children and then you broke up? Here's the thing. One of the people who mentored me always used to say this. A man who wants to marry you quickly. Look, when I met my wife, after dating for about 3 months, I was asking her, what does it take to do the dowry and everything? Like, I was already in the zone. Like, I want to marry you. I'm not here to play games. I've coined this term that I shared when I went to the nurses training college recently, where I told them that date slowly and break up fast. Date slowly, but break up fast. What does it mean? Within 3 months in a relationship, you will know, your gut will tell you if this is going to work out or not. If he's serious or not. If she's serious or not. If both of you have the kind of characters that can gel together. If it is not working, before the 1 year anniversary, exit that relationship. What were you doing for 7 years? 7 years. And I tell people, often when I meet people who are still in school, maybe they are in their first or second year and they get in, I say, you're only going to be ready to get married in 4 years' time. Why are you entering a relationship now? So get into a relationship. The closer you are to getting married, I recommend that the best time to get into a relationship is when you have about 2 years to get married. However, what I will say is that for you who has gone through this, I'm sorry. 7 years of pain. Let's learn from it. Go on YouTube, Dr. Joshua Mogri. I have a podcast there on how to recover from a broken heart and how to move on. I'll ask you to listen to it. And I trust that if you do the things I recommend, the right relationship will find you. I'm sorry, 7 years. Wow, Solomon, that's a lot of time. 7 years. I mean, you could do your first degree, do your national service, and do your master's if you were in Ghana. I mean, you could have 4 children in 7 years. That's a lot. I'm sorry, my dear. I'm really sorry. Kafrawai. It's been a joy having you. Please share this with as many people as possible. Take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.